We are live. So, today is the 22nd of June. I'm in Amsterdam. My name is Shay Hardy, and it is sunny as heck. I don't know if anyone else can see, but my cheeks have been burned, just completely burned. I look like I'm wearing blush, but I'm not. I'm just beautiful like this already. Anyway, today I am talking with Sangbreeta Moitra, and she is a Tedx award-winning speaker and advisor on human behavior. She works with corporations on their communications and leadership, but she also comes from a background of neuroscience. So she's bringing science, communications, and leadership all into one big package. And we're going to talk to her today about how that all comes together. Hey, Jane, thanks for joining us tonight. Let's bring Sangbreeta on.
Hello, hi Shea, and good evening, everybody, or goedenavond, as we say in Amsterdam, right?
Thank you for joining us. I have to say, I love this background that you have here with it looks like you're on a balcony. It looks like you're in some tropical place. You have these beautiful flowers behind you. It looks great.
Yes, thank you. Actually, this is not the place where I do my recordings and videos. I have another another room where I do all the trainings and online work. But it's so beautiful right now, and I don't want to be away from natural light and sunshine in a dark room with fake lighting. So I brought my video light. So if you see me right now, from my perspective, it looks pretty funky. I've got these mega video lights shining at my face. But making you think it's all au natural, but there's a little bit that's gone into
Yeah, you still have some natural light. It looks wonderful, and I love that. I love what you're wearing. I love that color. It's really pretty.
Thank you. We got to make it work for camera, right?
Exactly. I think that there are some people who don't know exactly what it is you do. Maybe you could share with us what you do for a living.
Sure. And for my work, I am a speaker, strategist, trainer, coach, advisor on hacking human behavior, hacking the brain, hacking human behavior to transform the way we communicate, the way we build our leadership presence, the way we transform our culture, the way we connect, communicate, engage with our clients, customers, leadership, stakeholders, investors. And right now, of course, the focus being online in a time of crisis globally. And my clients include, I speak for, or I've worked with the large organizations like Nike, Shell, Booking, ING, Tommy Hilfiger, but I've also worked with many businesses, platforms, conferences, the startup world, startup bootcamp, startup extreme, which was so much fun. So it's everywhere. I think the point is that people are striving, they all share a common connection, and that is they're all bound by a common connection. It's need to learn how can we transform our behaviors, the way we're working together, engaging with each other, standing out in our communication, speaking, presence, engagement, and how are we truly connecting and building meaningful relationships in the workplace. So that's what my focus is on.
And you were doing that pre-COVID. You were doing that all in person, speaking engagements, workshops, etc. How are you managing that in our current situation, current crisis?
Yeah. So I'm someone who likes to jump in the deep end and then just swim. So I enjoy that. So when the crisis hit, everyone, and then I woke up saying, let's get this started. Let's do it. So there was no dip in energy. I don't know why, actually, because I should have been. Of course, I lost so many opportunities. One that really hit me hard was I was supposed to be speaking in Norway alongside Chelsea Clinton at a conference, and there was some amazing people who were going to be there. It was going to be so wonderful, not just to speak there, but to be inspired by just wonderful people. That opportunity, it's been shifted to next year. There were so many team events, leadership events in the Netherlands that got canceled, that got postponed. So it did happen, but my focus was that people who remember you, people who appreciate you, and who need you are never going to disappear. And I kept the focus in my mind that I need to help or take people's pain away in this time.
Mm,
So whether it's in person, whether it's online, it doesn't matter. My job is simple. I'm here to take your pain away through whatever I can do.
oh,
Let's just keep doing that. So you know, I went shopping with my man for really cool video lighting, all kinds of tech equipment, did all kinds of workshops on how to, you know, give kick-ass online experiences. Made so many mistakes. Oh my gosh, if I tell you about the first online presentation I made, it was so embarrassing. But I'm so glad I did it because I learned and I made copious notes from the bad experience because it taught me things that I wouldn't even have thought of, that you can only learn when you mess up live. Okay, so I would say
exactly.
to I would say to everyone, do that, and you're gonna mess up. It's okay, and learn from it. And
Yeah.
then I pivoted, and it's been going well. I practiced a lot, but I truly believe in deliberate practice. So before my any one, you know, the one of the popular topics, for example, was leadership presence online during crisis. Another one was how to masterfully engage and communicate during crisis. So these were topics that were really doing well. And these topics I practiced at least 4 times beforehand with different, with the small fish, as I call it, with small fish, testing my material
Right.
nonstop with different minds, bringing feedback, updating it, trying again until I went big at a big conference or a company event, etc. So that helped.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. That's very smart. Very, very clever, strategic. I'm just going to say hi to Ida Besic Delic and Soraya Taranam. Thank you for joining. They said hi to both of
Hi.
us.
Hi.
Um, what do because we're all in this space where the world, for some people, the world has just turned upside down. The way that they
Yeah.
used to operate, the things that they used to do, the way they even communicated with their colleagues or
Yeah.
with clients or whoever was face to face or over
Yeah.
coffee or you walk over to someone's desk. What do you think is, I mean, aside from not being able to see each other, what do you think are some of the challenges and obstacles that are standing in people's way?
I think the biggest obstacle we have is ourselves.
Mm,
And for example, the first question I answered with I was go go go. I was really excited. I was doing 10,000 things, but actually in June I started noticing, in the first week of June I would say, I started noticing just signs that I was, something was not working in my system, in my process, and I don't know what it was. Maybe this entire lockdown got to me. Maybe this social isolation got to me. Maybe I was missing my family. Maybe this, you know,
mm,
the constant lighting was just doing something. But I realized that I was getting exhausted being
mm,
on, like, being on social media.
yeah,
You know, this thought of LinkedIn algorithm and engagement and communication and your posts and your articles, it was getting overwhelming for me at a certain point, even though I could see so many people responding to what I was saying. So what I did is I went against the gods of social media algorithm as a professional, and I took a 10-day break. And I'm sure all the gods of algorithm of social media, LinkedIn and Instagram, but must be like, what did you do? What about
yeah,
consistency?
you
But you
can't
know
wait.
what? Consistency can wait, and algorithms will always pick up. But you need to take care of yourself. And we really, I think, in times like this, especially people who are doing their, you know, they are the entrepreneurs, the coaches, the freelancers, etc. They might struggle with taking the step because they might think, oh my god, if I'm not visible, then people will forget me. But
Yeah,
if you push yourself too hard and you will put out material that you don't even realize doesn't sound like you anymore, people will
yeah,
see the labor, people will see in, they will see the tiredness. So instead, be honest, take a break, and people will respect you for that. And taking a stand for yourself, I actually call this recovery days. And so I've stopped
mm,
seeing it as a break, and I start calling it my recovery days, because
right,
I once was in a conference where I was speaking to this amazing athlete. And she was an American athlete, actually. She was, what do you call it? The one where you run and then you jump, a really
Uh,
long jump?
yeah, long
Uh,
jump. Yeah,
long jump, yeah. And we were talking about her amazing career, and she said, we need to take recovery days. We must take recovery days.
yeah,
Otherwise, we can't perform our best. And I thought, okay, as professionals, how often do we think of ourselves as, have I taken my recovery?
yeah,
Am I on track with my recovery? No, we
right.
just see it as a weekend, and for entrepreneurs, freelancers, weekend is just doing more emails. So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and take your recovery break when you need to.
Yeah. And how do you see if as a professional, you're trying to also improve your career,
Yeah.
you want to keep growing and building upon yourself. And what are some of the challenges or obstacles people are facing now in terms of that?
So one of the things, your biggest strength will also be your greatest enemy. That's the beauty and irony of life, right? So the thing that happened with coronavirus is now that it pushed everyone into digital transformation, meaning
Mm,
everyone you could dream to have as your client, customer, whoever, is now online. But so are a million other people who do exactly the same thing as you, who are also online talking about the same things, aiming for the same set of customers and clients. So I think one challenge is, of course, how are you going to stand out in your presence, in the way you are communicating, but also in the way your content is.
yeah,
Are you being seen as just another person doing something, or are you seen as, you know, um, an expert authority or someone with really interesting thought leadership, for example, or someone who can really stand for a solution, than simply someone who's focused on completing a bullet list of skills or requirements. So I think that's one big challenge. The other one is, of course, about when you're engaging with people online. I mean, right now, I'm staring at this little dot in a webcam, but and I can see your beautiful face in my peripheral vision through my peripheral vision, but you're filling up my screen and how. But but it's also important to know that right now, of course, you being Shea, you make me feel so comfortable. You make me feel at ease. So I feel so calm and relaxed talking to you, but you could also be a client that I've been negotiating with, and the negotiation has now gone online. What if I am a freelancer, like a entrepreneur lawyer, and you are one of my clients, and you want to see whether this is going to work or not? So how are you going to persuade, convince, influence, inspire people to not only be interested in you, but to also maintain those relationships, to nurture relationships? That's
yeah,
also a challenge we face now online, is how are we going to make this really human and
yeah.
deeply authentic. So that's also, I think, one of the top challenges we face, but also one of the most amazing learnings we can acquire during this period.
I think that's so important what you're saying. And for those who are just joining us, hi Renee, hi Estee, thanks for joining us. For those of you who are just joining us, we're speaking with Sangbreeta Moitra, and she's going to be hosting and facilitating our next session this Thursday on creating a career presence, mastering your career presence online, Thursday the 25th at 6 o'clock. So I want to get back to what you were saying. Hey, Nicola, thank you. Hi to see you. Um, what you were saying was really interesting about us, because a lot of our clients that we speak to are also unemployed. So creating that presence is also a challenge now. How do you create that presence when you don't have a client or a boss, or how do you get like what is the, as you see it, what is that obstacle that they have to overcome in
Yeah,
order to be seen, basically?
yeah. So, oh, one tip that I should have applied for myself, because I always say that: never start a sentence with "so." I hope whoever's watching learns from my mistake.
Okay.
Never start your sentence with "so," but it sounds manipulative, but that's not the intention. Everything is about your story and how you craft your story.
Right.
So in my session, I really want to take a part of that to talk about your business storytelling and mastering, crafting a masterful business story. Because it doesn't matter what you've done and how long you've been in the break for and what happened and what went wrong. Everything can be bridged together to show why you are the best person to justify why you, why now, why this,
Right.
why all of this right now. So, just to let you know, I came from a research background. My whole life, I was focused on becoming a doctor, which didn't work out. Then I went into neurobiology, neuroscience, was thinking of doing more research in that. That did not turn out to be what I wanted to do. But I loved neuroscience. I loved the theory about brain and behavior. I loved communication, and I loved working in a company environment. So I went from research and went into a corporate environment in life sciences where I was working with neuropsychiatric illness studies with major depressive disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder.
Oh,
From
wow.
that, I switched to speaking, public speaking, training, advising, strategizing in what I do now, as you know. If I tell you the story of my life right now, it sounds so fragmented that people would say, how, what, how did you even get here? But the way
Right.
I crafted my story, and I did not lie about my story, I was not inauthentic at any point, but
Hmm.
I used every single fragment in a way that only added up and strengthened the reason why I am doing what I'm doing now. And so
Yeah.
can every single person on earth. Um, that's the power of a really strong, well presented business story.
Right.
And any and every single person can do that. And I strongly encourage everyone to recheck and revisit their limiting beliefs, thinking, oh, this is not possible for me. Oh, I don't think I can do it. Why would anyone believe in me? All you need to do is to build a story around every single fragment or part of your experiences, bring them together to show why you, why now, why this. Think of it as a kaleidoscope. Every single
Mhm.
time you turn the kaleidoscope, you see a different facet. And people
Excellent.
just need to see what's really relevant, what they need to hear, and why
Yeah.
you, why now, why this.
Anyone who's just joining us now, I'm here with Sangbreeta Moitra. She is going to be facilitating our upcoming online event on mastering your career presence. I want anyone who's watching now and has any questions that you would like to pose to Sangbreeta, please feel free to put it in the comments or any comments or anything you want to add to it. Join the conversation with us.
Yes,
Um,
please do. I'd love to hear your messages from the audience. Yes.
yes. So, when you are, because we at Empower Amsterdam and Empowerment, we deal with career, we deal with being employed, we deal with being unemployed, and we also deal with being self-employed. So, again, we go back to your storytelling. When you're self-employed, one of the biggest challenges, I have to get my clients to see me. I need to get my target audience to be aware that I'm out there. And with
Yeah.
COVID, yes, everyone is out there. Everyone is now accessible. But
Yeah.
I find that a lot of social self-employed people are still find that challenging. And but where do you think that they are making the biggest mistakes when they're not connecting with their ideal client? What do you see as the biggest mistake? And I hate to use the word mistake because I find everything to be something you can learn from. But where do you think that they are not getting what they want? Like, what are they doing
Blind
wrong?
spot. I like the
Yeah,
word blind
blind
spot.
spot.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
good word.
yeah.
Blind spot.
I always use the term blind spot when I know people in front of me don't like to be told that they're making mistakes. So here's your blind spot, and then everybody agrees. But um, number one, I would say is when people start off, the first, so especially with self-employed people, or I also don't like the term self-employed. Let's just call it entrepreneurial, because
I like that.
people say about entrepreneurs, they say, oh, are you self-employed? But people working in corporate or companies, we don't go and say, are you an employed salary? Are you a salaried employee? No, we don't ask them that. We say, which company do you work for, or what do you do? So, uh, you
Very
know,
true.
um, and the thing that the challenge is that oftentimes as entrepreneurs, as freelancers, we lead with our ego actually, and we lead with only the vision, but not the break. So I call it two things. You need to have a big vision, and then you need to have measurable, smart goals that builds to your vision. So it's as if you're going to apply. You've applied for an entry level position in the company. You go in there, and in the interview, they ask, "So what are you applying for?" And you say, well, clearly the CFO. So maybe that's being cheeky, and maybe you'll get through if you give a really great interview to follow up on that very bold statement. Why not? But oftentimes, what happens is I need to. I've given lots of talks at business platforms and business conferences, and I see this pattern where people say, "Oh, how did you work with this big organization? I need to get there too. I want to work with them too." Okay, but who have you worked with till now? You can't treat your current clients or the clients you are getting as just second-hand,
Yeah.
second-class clients as well.
Yeah.
Every single one of them will lead to the big fish, as I call it. So number one is be very clear with your big vision and your smart steps to getting there.
Right.
That's number one. Number two is how are you sharing your thought leadership? And this is something that I will really cover in the session, so I don't want to give too much away.
I
But
know.
let's not limit ourselves as just being people who get something done. You're more than that. You're adding knowledge and perspective to people in this time of crisis.
Right.
So call me arrogant if may, but I don't think it's arrogant, but I truly believe that we are all thought leaders. I am a thought leader. I'm sharing perspective that makes people go, oh, this is so interesting. I never thought of this before. You know
Right.
what? I'd love to have a coffee with this person sometime. That's the kind of feedback you'll get once you start being bold. Because when you think that I'm going to share real challenging insights that are bold, that are authentic, and that I will not shy away from. And when you have this perspective, you end up saying a lot of powerful, meaningful, sharing a lot of powerful, meaningful ideas and perspectives with your clients or your prospective or potential clients,
Right.
and that's exactly what they need. And the powerful thing that the power we have as entrepreneurs is people don't hire us to like us. They hire us because they need a mirror, they need to be confronted. If we did what we're doing, if we were an employee within that company and we had to do what we're doing now, people would hate us and we would never get promoted, or we would just be like the bad guy everyone loves to hate. Because the change that you're bringing as the outsider, that's powerful. You can
Mm.
tell them the truths that no internal employee ever can. So that's the power you hold as an entrepreneur, and always remind yourself that every single day that this is what I'm bringing to my client, the truth, the naked truth. I'm the one who's going to hold up a mirror to them, and be proud of it and beat your drum about it.
I love that. I love that because I think that there is something to the fact of one being a thought leader. I think is always very important. Sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, the things that you already know as an expert. And I think that when you do that, you will get the clients or the businesses that you want to work with. Um,
Yeah.
I have one last question, and then we're going to wrap it up, I think. So if anyone else has a question that they want to ask Sangbreeta, now's the time. Put your question in the chat, and we'll answer it. Um, we talked about unemployed. We talked about self-employed. We talked about entrepreneurs. We talked about unemployed, employed. What is when you're a leader and you're in this space where you need to connect? Now you're working remotely. And we talked about being authentic and how do you as a leader for a team, it could be a small team or a large team, how are you creating that presence and authority that you need to create, or you want to create rather,
Yeah.
with your team online?
Yeah. Great question, actually. And I think one very important part is to really master these. These are I absolutely hate using the word soft skills because there ain't nothing soft about the brain and behavior. It's a fascinating organ. It's such a complex organ, and God, we are messed up. We're not messed up, but we are complex creatures of both logic and reason and emotion. So
Yeah.
it's very important for us to master human skills because right now, if the human brain, and I will get into detail as well, our human brain itself, it has three kinds of brains that rule us, that govern our behaviors, our choices, our feelings, whether you like someone, you don't like someone, the first impression, that click, everything is governed by different facets of our brain. You have the lizard brain, the mammal brain, the neocortex human brain. There's different triggers for that, different stressors for that. So for us to have a meaningful connection, that means that we have to trigger the mammal brain, the emotional brain. I will get deep into this during our session. So if anyone's watching and you want to know more, do join on 25th. But so one very important human skill we need to master is how to truly speak, communicate, persuade, influence, inspire
Yeah.
in the digital medium, where a webcam or just a screen does not impact our human connection. At the end of the day, technology must serve to enhance human connection, not replace it.
Mm. Oh, I love that.
So
Say it
that's
one more
that's
time.
something that I okay.
Say it one more
Technology
time.
serves to enhance human connection, not replace it.
That is so important. That is so, so important. um, Go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for taking that quote out. And so that's one perspective, of course, that we really need to master the way we're communicating, speaking online, because it does make an impact. This kind of human skill. The second thing is to be very intention driven.
Hmm.
Every single step of the way, when you're especially when you're trying to imagine giving feedback online, something's happened, somebody needs to be made redundant, or someone, you need to give critical feedback to someone about a project. For whatever reason it didn't work, even though the person worked really hard, the client was unhappy, because which client is happy on a normal day? But these kind of very sensitive discussions can also be extra tough. I mean, they're already difficult in a normal day on face to face. Imagine doing this now online.
Yeah.
It's double difficult. In that situation, it's really important for us to think of our intentions. And I will cover this a little bit in my session with Empower Amsterdam as well, is how to make sure that we are intention driven every step of the way so that all the actions that lead to the final outcome serve the core intention with which you started this discussion.
Right.
Whether it's a sensitive talk, it's a very, very critical negotiation, whether it's motivating your team, inspiring your team, making sure that your company culture, your team culture is still alive. In fact, one of the I must say, the most ridiculous things I read on LinkedIn was from some people saying, "Oh, we absolutely need our people to come back to the company and work from the same office. How else will we maintain a culture?" And I think, well, if you think that your company culture is held together only because people work from the same building, and I think
Wow.
you need to revisit what your culture even means.
Agree.
So, absolutely, and the way you can really create the sense of bonding, a sense of tribe and community within people who are working together in a team, is all through leading with intention.
Mm, I love that. Leading with intention. That should be a workshop if you aren't
Okay, that'll be such a fun one. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
leading with intention. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up. Raina said what she calls them essential skills. I think she's referring to the soft skills.
The human skills, yeah.
Yeah.
Essential human skills.
Yeah. I think that's a good name.
Oh, I just realized we can call them survival skills of the digital era. Isn't this like survival skills? How else are we going to survive in our work
I
as
think you're right.
professionals?
I
Yeah.
think you're right about that. So I'm going to wrap it up. I don't see any questions in the comments right now. I want to thank you so much, Sangbreeta, for making the time this evening to talk with us. And anyone, again, who's watching, please join us this Thursday, the 25th, Master Your Career Presence, where we're going to actually, Sangbreeta is going to further this conversation and give you some hardcore practical tips on how to make this happen. We talked about why you should be doing it and what your obstacles, but this course is going to be about how to overcome all of those things. And we really appreciate your time with us.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. You're such an inspiration for so many of us and with the work you do. And I really hope that the audience, people who joined, I really hope we can see them on 25th.
Me too. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Ciao.